Hello, welcome everyone. I want to talk a little bit about study abroad in general. When I first came to American River College in 1991, my first meeting with the dean, the end of that meeting, my question was, what chances are there to teach abroad, right? And we were part of a consortium. And so first of all, there are opportunities to study abroad full semester long, right? Holly will talk about the Florence semester program. I did the Florence semester program twice, in '97 and 2003. And then I ran into, quite fortunately, the director of the Florence program when I was visiting Florence. We went and socialized a bit, and she said, would you be interested in a summer program? And I go, no, I'm mimicking my reaction. That's exactly how I reacted of yes. I mean, because when you tell students about studying abroad and you're talking about the semester program, you can't help but notice that when you get to the time, 13 to 14 weeks, and the cost, some of them go from excited to, oh shit, that's not going to happen for me, right? So one of the advantages of the summer programs, in particular for a lot of people, it's time, right? Mark's London program, who he's going to talk about later, is 4 weeks. My program in Florence is 5 weeks. People can get away for that period of time that might not be able to get, and it's a little more affordable, right? So my program is built up my experience teaching in the semester programs, and I just want to talk a little bit about this. So, the dates of the program this year are June 2nd, so that's a Sunday. We leave June 2nd, get there June 3rd, and everything starts June 4th, right, to July 7th, right? Now, certainly, one of the advantages of Florence as a study abroad site, whether you're talking about a semester or a summer, is, well, what do you call it? It's Florence, right? It's about 600,000 population, but all the apartments for all the students, no matter which program in Florence you're talking about, all the apartments are in the historical center, and all of them, basically, this is the map of the historical center. The AFS is the American Institute for Foreign Studies, that is the largest study abroad organization in the world that oversees the semester and our summer programs. But all the apartments are in the historical center. And the advantage is the apartments have a full kitchen, which means you can save a little money by cooking at home. And the real advantage from my perspective is you can go out to the Italian markets and buy your produce and other food, mingle with the Italians, right? Which is one of my greatest joys, right? It's also, it also might help if you need a little assertiveness training. The Italians are not good at queuing up like they are in England. So here is the building, Piazza Peruzzi. Peruzzi was one of the early banking families that preceded the Medici in Florence. And so this is an old palace that they own, right? I put this up. This is old, but there you are, American River College. At the same time my program is going on, San Diego State will be there, Cal State Fullerton will be there, Louisiana Lafayette will be there, Towson in Maryland will be there. And what all these places have in common different from American River College? Thousands more expensive, 4,000 to 5,000, right? So whether you're talking, I remember when I first did the semester program in Florence, right? It's a wonderful opportunity because you have students coming from all over, from Santa Rosa, DBC, San Mateo, right? And they're all over. So you can now ask a really effective, genuine question. How is it that you got here? You know, we're all in Florence. How'd you get here, right? And you start telling students how they got here. And I remember 2 students were from Santa Clara. And I said, Santa Clara? So why are you here in this community college consortium? $7,000? That's exactly what, it was $7,000 cheaper. Right? Here's a view of kind of the typical apartments. All right? You'll get a guided view of the city of Florence. We'll have a welcoming dinner at one of my favorite trattoria. Right? There'll be 12 hours of Italian language instruction. Now, 12 hours is not going to make anybody fluent in Italian, but it'll make you more comfortable speaking a little Italian, right? And Italians, in my experience, I've never seen Italian not appreciate your efforts to speak their language, right? The worst they do is respond to your Italian in English, because chances are they know English better than you know Italian. Right? But if you like coffee, for example, right? Your morning routine of getting a cappuccino or something like that, you can start interacting with the barista with regard to a little Italian. And you can go to the market. The Italian language class is actually hands-on, going to the market and ordering in front of the instructor. Right? This is the class I teach, History 399, that was created for this. Actually, it's an ongoing joke that many of you have heard before. I created this class so I could go to Italy every summer, right? But as of August 2016, it was accepted for IGETSI in humanities, right? So 4 units of humanities for 5 weeks of sitting and living in Italy, right? But essentially, it's a class designed to teach you about the history and the culture of where you are when you're there, focusing primarily on the Renaissance. All right? I forgot I had this slide. This is one of my favorite pizzas, right? It's called the Dante. There's a trattoria that has pizzas in names of all these medieval and Renaissance Italian figures. That is, right, a white sauce with cinghiali, which is wild boar, and truffles. 2 of my favorite things in the world, right? Black truffles and cinghiali. And that is one of the books that is assigned in my class, Dante's La Vita Nova. So a student took a picture of that with the book and the pizza next to each other. Right? I front load the class at the beginning when you need structure. We'll leave on a Sunday, get there on a Monday, class with me on Tuesday, class with me on Wednesday, class with me on Thursday, class with me on Friday, class with me on Monday, and from then on it's just Tuesday and Thursday. So there's a lot of structure at the beginning when you need it, and free time towards the end when you can take advantage of it. So just Tuesday, Thursday, there'll be a couple 4-day weekends. One will not be because we'll go to Rome on a weekend. Right? So there's free time to explore Italy. That obviously is Venice. The easiest place to go is Pisa, an hour away. A train leaves every hour. There. And I encourage you to enjoy and appreciate Italy, but there's opportunities to leave. Students go to Barcelona, some at Athens, Paris, and so forth, right? Guided museum tours of the Uffizi and the Bargello. The Uffizi is the greatest Renaissance art museum in the world, right? The Bargello is a major sculpture museum. This is certainly, when you go to Florence, you'll find out there's not just one David, right? David represents the Republic of Florence, right? And it starts with people like this, Donatello, and this isn't even Donatello's first David. Right? And then, of course, there's this, the David, right? And one of the great things, or the things that the Italians are really good at is presentation. And when you go to the Accademia, right? So we'll have class on David in the morning, and in the afternoon, we'll go to the Accademia and see it. And one of the things that will strike you is that this museum was built for one reason and one reason only, to house this statue. So prior to 1872, it was out in a public square. Right? For about 4 years, a museum was being restored in Florence. It's at the back of the cathedral. and it is basically called Museo dell'Opera del Duomo. Basically, it's the works that were on the cathedral in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, the house in this museum. That museum was closed, and when it opened 2 years ago, I got goosebumps. Because what they did was create the bottom third of the cathedral as it was in the 16th century, and then put each statue where it was supposed to go originally. Right? So we'll get a ticket to view this. It will also include a ticket to hike up the dome, or the bell tower, and the bell tower if you want, and also the baptistry. All right, here's the wall that I was talking about. And then certainly you cannot talk about Florence without food. As I joke, one of the casualties when we have the orientation of everybody going in probably the end of April, I say I have to warn you, a casualty of going to Italy with me. It's called the Olive Garden. Right? You'll never call that Italian food again. And this is a drink that you probably ordered but never received. It's called a cappuccino. This is what it's supposed to be. All right? Private wine tasting trip into the Chianti countryside. And the class is Italian history and culture, and wine is a part of Italian culture. All right? But Italians, unlike not just Americans, but in my experience, most English-speaking people, Italians don't drink to get drunk. A student asked me the first day of class, what's the drinking age in Italy? My response is, that's a culturally biased question. Right? It's irrelevant. Right? All right, here's our lunch in the Chianti region. I totally agree with George Clooney. All right? Italians live life better than we do, particularly in terms of eating. All right? Eating is the thing you do, not the thing that you stuff your mouth before you do something else. All right? We go to Rome for 3 days. All right? So this is a 3-day excursion into Rome where we see the Vatican Museum, St. Peter's Basilica, the Colosseum, and the Forum, not all on the same day, right? But it's 3 days in Rome in a centrally located hotel. Right? Every time I get to the hotel and it's not centrally located, I'm saying, why are you wasting my time? Right? You need to be in the heart of Rome. All right? Here's the 2016 group at the Colosseum. All right. Here is Angela Operer, the greatest guide I've ever had an experience. Insist on her if you ever have a chance, right? She is the greatest. She actually got married this last end of May, and it was my first Italian wedding. The reception was 9 hours long. All right? I mean, basically, one thing you don't know about yourself, by and large, until you go to Italy, is how much food you can actually eat if it's spaced out over a period of time. And here's the Pantheon, my favorite building. This is the Trevi Fountain, and I'll tell you, it works. You throw a coin in it, and you come back to Rome. I mean, I've been going 22 years in a row, so it works. Right? And I can't help resisting this. Does anybody get that reference on the right? This is Roman holiday. Right? This Michelangelo Sistine Chapel. All right. This is an area in Rome. This is my favorite area in Rome. It's called Trastevere. Right? The Tiber River in Italian is Tevere, so this is on the other side of the Tiber. And it's more kind of medieval. It's very colorful, and it's, well, you can see this is dining al fresco. All right. We'll take a day trip out of Florence. Will be included. This is departing dinner at a local trattoria. All right. The cost of the program is $41.45. That's gone up a little bit from last year. But I mean, that's just a product of increased cost of apartments, of hotel, transportation, and inflation in general. That's at 20 students. Airfare I just got, so $11.25 plus $4.05 in taxes and fees and fuel charges and so forth, so $15.30, which is a couple $100 more than it was last year, but over $300 less than it was 2 years ago. 2017, it was $18.63. Right? And this is leaving from San Francisco to Florence and then ground transportation, the same thing you're going to get in the semester program, ground transportation, unless you arrange your own airfare, from the airport to your apartment round trip, which will be prepaid taxis. All right? A meal voucher. The meal voucher is designed basically 10, 11 trattoria throughout Florence. You go to this trattoria, you present the meal voucher, they'll give you a menu and you'll get a first, second, side dish, and maybe water, right? So basically you're talking about for 10 meals, right? You got that covered. It helps budgeting. All right. And it is. I mean, one of the things about study abroad, it's transformative. One of the things I think it does is set the bar higher to what you think you can accomplish in life, right? As the instructor responsible for a small study abroad program, the most rewarding thing in my life is watching students be transformed in front of my eyes, right? By the second week, they start to get a sense of confidence that they can do things that they never had any sense. Because what do they begin with? These presupposed obstacles that they're going to face in Italy. The only way you realize most of those are imaginary is by going. And once you do it the first time, then the world's open. Right? I was really moved. I have students keep an academic journal. And one of the questions I asked them to consider is, how has living in Florence affected your understanding of history and yourself? And she ended her last journal saying, when I think back as a person I was when I first came here and the person I am now, well, let me just say, I really like the person I am now. Yeah, I got a little lump in my throat when I was reading that one. All right, financial aid, the largest, this applies to all study abroad, the largest scholarship for study abroad that in 2011 started to be applied for summer is the Gilman Scholarship. It's a federal scholarship, and there is a early application deadline, which will be in October sometime. Otherwise, if you apply later than that, if you're thinking about a summer program, you won't know that you got it before you have to enroll and pay for it. All right? But otherwise now, and G. Lohr in financial aid does study abroad financial aid. All right? The deadline is March 8th. I have some brochures from 2018 on this table up here and a sign-up sheet. If you get up there and start signing and there's no more room, turn it over, right? There's other spaces. All right. Any questions? All right. All right. So I think it makes more sense if you go next. Or, I don't care. Or do you want to stay summer or? No.
You want me to go? Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm Holly Piscopo. I teach history at Sacramento City College, and I'm the faculty member who is going to Florence, Italy in the spring semester-long program. So what Professor Bill Wrightson was talking about was the summer program, which is, what did you say, 4 or 5 weeks? 5 weeks that you just heard about, and Mark's London 4-week program. This is a semester-long program, but because of the nature of the visa that we are allowed in Italy, we get a 90-day visa, and the program is 89 days. So it's technically like a 12-week program. It's like 6 weeks, and then we get spring break, where we're probably going to all try and leave Italy just so we have a little bit of time, maybe elsewhere, and then another 6 weeks. So it's a 12-week program. You're there for 13, and we're there as long as we possibly can legally. Okay, so again, I'm Holly Piscopo. I teach at Sacramento City College. The flyers that Bill is passing out has, I hope, my email address on it. I hope it has my email address on it. It's going to be on this PowerPoint as well. A lot of this is going to be a bit of a repeat, and not necessarily the pictures, but in terms of some of the information that he spoke about, because it's the same location. So I'll skip through some of this, but let me just tell you some of the differences as we go through. So as I said, it's an 89-day program. It starts February 2nd, and it goes through May 3rd, 2019. And we've seen some beautiful pictures, and we can ooh and ah over those. But he's covered quite a bit of the why, like why would you do this? But in terms of the food and the culture and where we are, which he showed off so beautifully. And as he mentioned, just to repeat, can't hear enough. The facilities are right there in the center of Florence. Everything, it's a very walkable city, so everything is going to be within a 15 or 20-minute walk on cobblestones, right? So keep that in mind. And I believe there aren't cars going through the center of the city most hours of the day.
There are cars that kind of go around, but cars aren't allowed by the cathedral anymore. And there are a number of streets that are
Car-free. Yeah, very walkable cities, small, and your apartments would be close enough to where we're going to be studying, which is 2 blocks from the Duomo. So, okay, as he mentioned, and nowadays there are, of course, there's the train, and a great gift if you're able to pull this off, if you're able to do this, a great gift from a family member would be some cash for the train, or some money for EasyJet, Ryanair, those kinds of express airlines, which are like the Southwest Airlines of Europe. Because you will have long weekends. With the semester length program, again, it's 13 weeks, but for us it's a semester length program, you get 3-day weekends every other weekend except for the first 2. So we get there and we sleep, and then we hit the round kind of running in terms of touring and getting the education and all of our, it is a study abroad program, so we do have some studying and all that kind of stuff. But you do have 3-day weekends, so it's good to know that you are able to do this. I don't know why that says the JC system, but the community college system, as he mentioned, does have the lower tuition rate. So there's plenty of reasons to study abroad, which he's already covered. But it is less expensive. He mentioned about $7,000 less expensive than a Cal State. So if you're considering doing this, if you can do this while you're here at American River College or in the Los Rios Community College District, if you're not an AR student, please try to make it happen. So the semester-long program, you would be taking a full load. You'd be taking your full 12 units, and it should work right in there with your educational plans. And I'll show you the classes that you would be taking. The idea that when they curate kind of who gets to go, it's 3 other community college districts, including, or in addition rather, to Los Rios Community College District. And what they're trying to do is build a real live schedule that would actually work for people's ed plans, so that it's not, you're not going to lose out by going to Florence for 13 weeks anyway, but this way you're making progress to your educational goals. It makes sense for every reason, okay? For every reason, all right. As I think Bill said, I think this says this in here somewhere. So your classes that you'll be taking in those 12 units, those are taught in English. They're taught by community college instructors. They're going to be in on your transcript as community college classes. Again, they're counting towards your units and that sort of thing, and towards your ed plans. There is an opportunity to take a language class, as he mentioned. It's not required, and I don't think it works in terms of your ed plans, but it's something you obviously would maybe want to take advantage of. Okay. More reasons, there's plenty of reasons to study abroad. There, I mean, in terms of what you may want to, probably you want to do this because you want to see another country and you want to live and be and think and eat and do all these things, experience living in another country while you can. However, in the big picture, in terms of educational success, there's all kinds of other reasons that will benefit you from a study abroad program. So in addition to those, it's been linked to higher success rates, better retention, all of those good things. So I'm telling you this so that you can strategically place a flyer on a fridge of a family member and that sort of thing. Like, you've thought this through. It's not just because you want to go to Italy. Okay. And as he said, it's an investment in yourself. So the program dates in 2019. If you go with the flight plan, if you decide to fly with the group, that group leaves February 2nd. That is from San Francisco, and it's 3 other community college districts all in Northern California, so it's a big group of people. And the flight leaves from San Francisco on Saturday, February 2nd. We arrive in Florence and we spend the night in the hotel, and the very next day, and again, all this transportation from Florence on is covered. We do orientation, then you move to your apartments. As Bill said, your apartments will be in the historical city center. I have some other pictures of that. Just again, in terms of planning your life, this is instruction time. So as we're taking a tour, as we're going around, learning about the program and learning about Florence, we're beginning classes. We're getting started. There's a spring break, like I mentioned, right in the middle. So it's 6 weeks of spring break. You've got, the full week off there so that you can travel a little bit longer, or maybe you'll have family or friends trying to stay with you in your apartment. We'll see what will happen. And then we end and we leave pretty much immediately thereafter. As Bill mentioned, most of the instructors, I've met the other instructors that you would be taking classes from in addition to me. I'll be the history instructor, but we have a bio, we have English, and we have art. And all of them, we've all thought about the rhythm of what it means when you're living in another country. And so we try to front load the bigger work in the beginning because just because it seems to make sense when you're traveling, when you're studying abroad, when you're living elsewhere. And we think about those things like just the pacing and the rhythm of life there. All right, so the 13-week program, the semester-long program for spring, the cost is higher, but you're there way longer, right? So it's $7,995, and what that includes is your apartments. It includes, I think, what this will talk about is that we do have an Italian life and culture course that will include a bunch of field trips. We've scheduled that out, and it's going to be amazing. So you're going to get to see a lot of Davids, so many Davids. Quite a bit of art. There's going to be we have a fashion kind of week that we're going to take advantage of. There's a very cool, this may or may not appeal to you, but there's some very cool old mental institution that we're going to visit. But then all of the heroes of Italy, right? So a lot of the art and the architecture. We're going to go to a calcio. We're going to go to a soccer. We're going to go to a soccer game. That sort of thing. So that's included. We will have a few field trips. There are excursions in the program to Siena and San Gimignano, which I'll show. I think there's a picture later in this slide, set of slides. And then What else did I want to tell you about this? Oh, this also includes, it talks about the study center and the orientation, but it also includes some support staff over there. So there is somewhere to go to get questions answered. So it's not like you're on your own, you're living in an apartment somewhere in Italy, you have a roommate, and you're living in an apartment, and that's it. There's no other person besides your instructors. So I just want to make sure that you know there's there's emergency contacts and people who can help. Let's say there's a medical concern or anything like that. This also includes your medical insurance because, of course, you'll be traveling abroad, right? You'll be in Italy. So all of those things would be included. And then, as he mentioned, you'll want to apply for financial aid. Let's see. So this kind of takes us once you're there, what happens. The very first day, we're going to have breakfast. Like I said, we stay at a hotel the first night, and then you go, like you mentioned, everyone has prepaid taxis. You go to your apartment, and then you're going to get to meet the local staff who are there, which I have a picture of them somewhere in here. The next day, like I said, we learn all about safety and security, which does change. Those rules and regulations actually do change. So we're going to learn, the basics of traveling in Italy and that sort of thing, and then start seeing the stuff. Okay. Bill showed a picture of this. This is the study center. As he said, it's an old palace. That's not bad, and I believe he showed a picture of kind of where this is. So the star is where the office is. Again, this is the historical center. So it's a few blocks off from the Duomo and that sort of thing. It's right by San Croce. All right, it's a real live office. So these are just office pictures. Unlike Bill, I have not actually been there, so I have to rely on the pictures that they have given me. But this gives us proof that there is an office that someone has taken a picture of. So this is the actual support staff. So I've been in touch with a couple of these people, and they're real. So they are there, and that's for anything that you might need. Okay. All right. So again, I think I've already kind of covered what this is. You get medical insurance, you get the support staff, that they can help you out. They can help you figure out how to get something done while you're there. So it's just nice to know that you have someone else there, and someone who can help with with our smartphones these days and WhatsApp and everything else, you may not need this. But let's say someone wants to send you something, they might send it to this office because you're going to be gone, taking classes during the day and flitting about. So if you want to learn anything more about them, that is the email address, florence@aifs.co.uk, even though this is the Florence team. Okay, so where will you be living? You'll be living in an apartment. Mark, do they live in apartments in London? And homestays. Okay. So in Florence, you're going to be sharing an apartment with another student. So NCSAC is Northern California Study Abroad, consortium. So that means that you may not be with other AR or Los Rios students. You might be with someone else from a Northern California community college. But anyway, you're going to be sharing an apartment, again, all in the historical center. You're not going to be more than 15 to 20 minutes walk away, and each one, of course, is different. But some of them quite old. This is Italy, so there's going to be a teeny tiny fridge. There's going to be teeny tiny, all of that. Okay, it's different. That's good. Okay, that's a giant fridge, okay, for example, right? This is just, luxury. So this penthouse suite does have a very large fridge, but most likely you're going to be looking at something even smaller. So this is what we're looking at. So obviously furnished, okay? You're going to have your bag, you're going to have your clothes, that sort of thing. All right, and this is just a picture of the classroom. Again, we're in an old palace, so it's going to be a very different place to take classes than here. Look at the floor. Look at the ceiling. Okay. I'm sorry, look at the lectern. I'm just kidding. It's gonna feel different. Every little thing is gonna feel different. And we're all very excited about this. So, all right, the Italian Life and Culture class is where we're gonna be able to take some field trips, and we've planned it so that the team and I have planned it so that we get a good smattering of a bunch of different things. We have a biologist among us, and she's just like absolutely obsessed with the plague. So there will be some medical and plague and like body stuff there. But we also have fashion because we're going to be there during a fashion week and that sort of thing. And of course, you can't do Italy without a little bit of politics, a little bit of sex appeal, and the Pope. So separate. Okay. Anyway, and mafia. We've got some mafia that we're planning on. Okay, so all of the other instructors put pictures up of themselves, and I chose this guy. But I just can't help it. So anyway, I'm just gonna, this isn't necessarily about your instructors, but I want you to know like what the classes are so that you can plan now. I mean, you're already in the fall semester, but that way you can plan now on like what would your course load look like. My plan, these are Sacramento's, I don't know, do you guys do 310, 311, or you have different numbers? Okay, is your 302 the same too? Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are exactly American River College course numbers and everything. So I'm going to be teaching Western Civ, early U.S., and modern U.S. Okay, those will fit in your ed plan, and that's how these were designed. These were specially picked so that like everything will work with the most people's ed plans. Okay, so you're going to be probably taking a class with me. This is Danielle King. Her picture, I don't know. Anyway, she teaches biology, and she's the plague person that I mentioned. She's at Santa Rosa Junior College, so these are their course numbers, but I promise you these fit in terms of transfer patterns. And if you go on the website that AR has put together, you'll see like where it fits exactly on your ed plans. So trust me, and then you can go and if you don't trust me, you can go and find out like where does it fit, okay? So she's got basic concepts of ecology, human biology, and current issues. And then this is the new person from Contra Costa, and she's an English instructor. So we've got literature, mythology, that should be fantastic, critical thinking in language. And finally, the art instructor who, boy, oh boy, does she have it all. So you've got drawing 1 and drawing 2. The plan is that you guys are going to go to the You've got to take an art class. You'll be going to the UFEATS and you'll be sketching, okay? And then Art 124 is like a art history meets art studio art kind of class. So yeah, it'll be a good semester. Okay, like we could teach that here, it would be a great semester, but so much better if we're gonna be in Florence. Okay, so that student services staff that I mentioned, they can put together, they will be putting together other things that are like value-added excursions. This isn't included in the $7,995, which is what you're gonna really wanna plan for, plus some spending money for food and that sort of thing. But they do subsidize things, and they're significant subsidies. So my understanding is there's like a wine lecture and wine tasting, and it ends up being like €5. There's a soccer match that we're gonna go to. We have one included. Some walking tours, a cooking class, I don't remember how much that is, and then an opera. These are things that we can do, and that is less expensive through them. Okay, so this is included in the program, going to Siena and San Gimignano in the semester-long program. So that's not going to be terrible. Okay, Pisa and Lucca is another option. Okay, Calcio. So you know that for Italians, you're going to want to get involved. You're going to want to go to a game, match. Okay. And you're gonna be eating so much, but you might want to learn how to bring that home. So cooking classes, that sort of thing. Okay, are you coming down because I need to stop? Do I need to go? I'm sorry. What time is it? Almost 1. Are you okay, Mark? I'm almost done. I am really almost done. Okay, some optional weekends, just know this. Rome, Venice, okay. So you'll see there's prices on this. These are added, okay? This isn't included, these are added, but these are 3-day weekends. It would include like this centrally located hotel. Rome, Venice, Sorrento, I've heard amazing things about Sorrento. So we go on the train. This will include Pompeii and everything, Capri. Okay, as he mentioned, you can purchase the airfare or you can go on your own, okay? Seriously though, if you are really considering doing this, as I said, it's a 90-day visa. We're there for 89 days. If you think you're gonna extend and you wanna do that legally, because you're probably not gonna be legally working there either in Italy, so you heard everything that I just said, but if you're thinking about that and making your own transportation arrangements, do look into how long you can stay and which countries you may want to go visit on your break, because that ends up being important. He mentioned the voucher program. In the semester-long program, I think Bill's was a 10-meal voucher program. The semester-long program, it's 30 meal vouchers. Those are not like at a cafeteria. They're all over the place, right? And I've heard wonderful things about this. He just said wonderful things about this. This would be a great gift from a family member who wants to contribute to what you're doing and make sure that you're eating. So there you go. Medical insurance is included in this program. That's something you'll want to tell family members. And other than that, I want to tell you what are the qualifications? Well, if you're 18 years or older and you have successfully completed 12 units here at the Los Rios Community College District and you've gotten a 2.25 or greater, then it is open to you. Let's see, you do need a current passport, as it said, and we do have a legal obligation with the Schengen visa. It says no visa required. We are obligated to the 90-day thing. The priority deadline, it says right here, Friday, September 28th, but it's actually a little bit later. It's in October, and the final application deadline is in November 9th. This is a picture of a group from before. And you're lucky here at AR that Bernice Foster is right here on your campus. So maybe take that phone number down, or just remember Foster B at ARC. My name is Holly Piscopo. I'm easily found at Sacramento City College. Just faculty, staff look for me, but it's piscoph at scc.Los Rios. I can actually email this to anyone. But my last slide is about financial aid information, because for me that would be the biggest deal. I mean, that's going to be your deal breaker, or whether you can do this. So AR has put up some financial aid information, and you will want to check that out. And I realize now, as I look at the spacing, it's not perfect. But I can send that to you, so write to me and I will send you this link. Bill put this up, but your contact here is named G. Lore. Her number? I haven't met G. Lore, okay, is 916-484-8625. And you said the Gilman, the priority deadline's in October. Yeah. That's your big whopper. You want the Gilman. If you can get it, it's a $5,000 deal, which means you could go to Florence for 13 weeks for, $3,000. So that would be a really, really big deal. Okay, those are the things that I wanted to say. I did not mean to take up too much of the time for Mark. Or to repeat too much that Bill said. But if you are at all interested, there's a sign-up sheet, very classy sign-up sheet there, but it will say Spring 2019 Florence. And please just put your name and email address as legibly as you possibly can, or just shoot me an email and I will get back to you. Thank you. Grazie. All right.
Thanks, Holly. So like Bill, I went on a semester program to London with students twice before I started the summer program in London. Went in 2003, 2007, and totally loved it. I know my students loved it, and I loved it. And so I thought I would copy what Bill did. So Bill started doing this summer program 15 years ago. And I started the summer program to London kind of as a copy of his in 2012. And I do have a little bit here about the way the semester programs work. In the fall of 2019, we're going to Barcelona. Every spring, they go to Florence, and every fall, they alternate between, right now, Barcelona and London. The London program, they're leaving in about a week, I think. And just to give you an idea of costs, the apartment dwellers in London this semester are paying $10,000 for the basic program. So Florence is a couple $1,000 cheaper. Barcelona's similarly priced, but the summer programs are about half as much because we're there for a much shorter amount of time. And again, that's why we created this summer programs. It's not only so that we could go every year, but so that students wouldn't have to spend that much money and that much time and have to deal with those issues. But having said that, Bill and I will tell you that if you can't afford the time and the money to do a semester program, you should do that, because you just get that much more of a cultural immersion and a fantastic experience. So I already know about Bill's Florence program. His is 5 weeks, 4 units. Mine's 4 weeks for 3 units. You're not supposed to leave yet. I'm just starting. I'm also just kidding. So my program in 2019 is probably going to be May 25th to June 22nd. And when you're going to London and walking around the town, the city, you see amazing sights that you've seen in movies and history books and whatnot, things like this. And on the one Saturday of the month in June where they celebrate the Queen's official birthday, chances are you'll see the Queen. And if you stick around, you can see the balcony scene. So these are all things that you could see in London as you travel around and around outside of London. We do a day trip every Wednesday, middle of the week, every week. We'll go someplace. One week we'll go to Stonehenge in the morning and Salisbury in the afternoon. That's where the Russian spy and his daughter was poisoned last year. Also, the tallest cathedral spire in England and the world's oldest clock and a copy of the Magna Carta. We also spend a weekday in Bath and another half a day in Greenwich. In the morning here, we go to Charles Darwin's house in the morning. And last couple times we've gone to Stratford, Shakespeare's birthplace and burial place, and students can still go there, but we're specifically going to go to Cambridge this year. I'm going to shift to Cambridge again, maybe because of Stephen Hawking, kind of in honor of Stephen Hawking. And the British Museum, we're just about 3 football fields away from the British Museum from where we have class. And it's the best and the largest archaeological museum in the world. The Rosetta Stone, the Elgin Parthenon marbles that the Greeks want back, but they're not getting them back. Westminster Abbey, where every king and queen's been coronated in England since 1066. National Gallery is not the best art museum I've been to, but it's one of the best. A lot of impressionistic Van Gogh, Degas, Seurat, Pissarro, and there's William Turner and some Da Vinci and some others that are really well known there. So we'll spend a couple hours there, and the National Portrait Gallery right behind that. And the Tower of London. One of the things I really like about London is its diversity. I'll talk more about that in a second, but its diversity in terms of people and food, and also its buildings and architecture and history. So you have 10th, 11th, 12th century buildings, and then right across the river from here you have the Shard, which you saw a moment ago, and then right behind this you have probably 10 or 15 buildings that have all been built in the last 10 years, that are just all glass and actually amazing, huge. And some people don't like that, but personally, I think it's cool that you have this mixture of architecture, both old and new. So, because I teach psychology, I take students to Freud's house, get to see his couch, and where he did his work for the last year and a half of his life. And as I said, we go to Darwin's house. Students love going to Darwin's house to see how he lived and see where he performed experiments on worms moving dirt for 39 years. He's an amazing guy, and it's just kind of neat to see where he came up with most of his ideas once he got back from his excursions around the world. We always go to 2 at least one, usually two theater events. This last year we went to Phantom. And this last year we saw Hamlet. Second time I've seen Hamlet here. Also, we've seen Macbeth, Taming of the Shrew, Merchant of Venice, and a couple other well-known Shakespeare plays. I saw this on the internet recently. CNBC has ranked London as the best city in the world for university students to study. And I think that's mainly because of the museums. They're totally accessible, and many of them, and they're all free. And you can walk in and out of them whenever you want. I also saw on the internet that Florence is among the top 5, I think, most romantic cities in the world. And I totally recommend Florence because of that kind of ambiance, that kind of thing. But I also saw on the internet, and I don't really get this, but London was rated the second most exciting city in the world. The first most exciting city, according to this poll, Time Out, was New York City. And I've been to New York City 3 times, been to London 9 times. New York City doesn't even compare. I don't understand that poll at all, but anyway, it gives you an idea why London. It's a great place to study and get in touch with different cultures and history, and it's also a never-ending, it doesn't close. There's always something going on there. 37% of London is foreign-born, and you can see that basically a lot of people who live in London come from the Commonwealth, but they actually do come from the whole world. And it makes London not the most culturally diverse city in the world, but one of the most. This is my 2012 group, 18 people. This guy right here and this girl didn't know each other, but they got married about 2 years ago because of their experience here together. My 2013 group had 25 people, 26 people in 2014, and then 2015 I had 19. This is in front of Darwin's house. And this is my 2018 group. I didn't get to go 2016 because I woke up in the hospital one morning and they told me I wasn't going to go. And I wasn't able to go in 2017 either, but finally went again last year and had a good group. So the class is a psychological elements of British life and culture class. We talk a lot about culture and then talk about Freud and Darwin and other British people who are associated with the field of psychology. So this year, don't know yet, but it's probably going to be $46.25 for the apartments and $4,025 for the homestays. And these are the apartments on the east side. Homestay people stay on the north side of London. And I don't have any flyers left over from last year because I used them all up, gave them all out, but I do have, if you Google Mark Stewart study in London, American River College, something like that, you go to this site, you'll see my flyer from last year, my brochure, this PowerPoint presentation, a little video, and a few other things. And chances are I will have the 2019 information within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we need to get out of here, right? Any questions? All right, yeah, in the back.